Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing my top 5 favorite book dedications that I've found through reading books and just sort of looking through my bookshelf, and they're definitely pretty interesting. I think I chose a good variety of book dedications that are funny, but then also some more that are really sweet and heartwarming, so I'm here to share those with you guys today. The first book on this list that I'm going to share the book dedication for is The Giver by Lois Lowry. I read The Giver back for the first time in maybe 5th grade, and I've always loved this book. The movie's amazing. This whole series really is just so close to my heart, as it was one of the first really classic literary series that I remember really enjoying. And the dedication to this book I think is so sweet, and I think it's really touching, and Lois Lowry is just such an amazing author, and this dedication was just like the cherry on top of this book. And her book dedication in this is for all the children to whom we entrust the future. And I just thought that was such a sweet message, and that she decided to dedicate this book to my generation, which obviously this book came out a little bit before I was born, so it's not quite directed towards my generation. If a dedication is directed towards a future generation, if you're part of the future generation, you're included in that as well. So I just thought that was really sweet, and I will always have this book on my bookshelf in one shape or form, whether it's an ebook, a hardback, a paperback, and I love the dedication in this one. So the next book dedication that I am going to share with you today is actually from a book that I'm currently in the middle of reading, and that is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. And this dedication made me laugh out loud. I was sitting in class, I just opened this book to start it, and I just burst out laughing because I thought it was so funny and just so random. And so if you don't know, this is sort of like a mystery YA thriller, and the dedication in this book is for anyone who has ever dreamed of finding a body in the library. And I just thought that was such a cool little way to get readers really involved in your book and ready to read it. So yes, Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson is a book that I'm currently in the middle of and really enjoying so far, so I will hopefully be able to share more thoughts on it soon. The next book on my list is actually a series, which is the Series of Unfortunate Events book series. So if you're not familiar with these books, I don't know how you couldn't be by now. These are one of my favorite series of all time. I own every single one of them in hardback, and there's 13 books, and each of the book is dedicated to the same person, and it's this person called Beatrice, and we don't know who Beatrice is. We know that they are somehow a love interest to the author of the book. We really don't know, and I love when an author who has sort of a pen name or a persona doesn't drop that throughout his whole book. So literally the only part of this book that isn't him speaking as himself is, I would say, just the list of accomplishments in the back on his author's little listing that shares who he is. So every book in the series is dedicated to someone named Beatrice, and this one is one of my favorites. This is in the first book, so really we could think that Beatrice is an actual person at this point because we haven't read the book, but reading all of them, you come to find that Beatrice is a common theme and may even show up in the books at some point. So the dedication in this one is to Beatrice: darling, dearest, dead. And what's also really, really unique about these book dedications is every single one hints that she has died in some sort of capacity. So for example, I have the 7th book in the series here, which is called The Vile Village. And in this one, it is once again dedicated for Beatrice. When we were together, I felt breathless. Now you are. So I just think they are so clever, so funny. I mean, not funny, they're kind of grim, but I think that they are so unique and special, and they just add to the magic of the series. So I'm definitely so happy to own all of these books, because these books are they've made up my childhood. If you're looking to learn the story but aren't really into reading, Netflix adapted the whole series into a TV show, and it's awesome. It's so good. It has Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf, who's the villain in the series. So definitely take the time to check these out if you haven't yet, because they're worth the read. The next book in the series that has one of my favorite dedications ever is The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer. If you can't tell, this is a very beat up copy that I own. I've had this book since about maybe 4th grade. These were books, it's a series, and these were books that I read religiously. I would pre-order the copies of them through Barnes & Noble, and I'd wait for them to come out, and I've since sort of moved on from that series, but I remember, I think I read up to the 7th book that was released. I think it's the 7th. Yeah, I read the 7 books in the series. I think there might be 8 or 9 now. I'm not 100% sure. And I love these characters so much. For a long time, I really wanted to play Alex, who is one of the twins, in the movie adaptation, which is really funny to me now because they're still in the process of, you know, writing and making that happen. So I just thought it was really funny because back in 5th grade I was like, I will be Alex. But yeah, so these books are so fun. It's about 2 kids who find a storybook and end up falling into it and having to try and live in the fairy tale realm and also find their way back home. It is such a sweet story, and it's actually written by an actor who I really admire named Colfer. He was Kurt Hummel in Glee. He's been in a bunch of things, and he's really awesome. And the book dedication in this is dedicated to his grandmother, and I thought that alone was sweet, but then I read the rest of it and I was bent over in laughter. It reads, "To Grandma, for being my first editor and giving me the best writing advice I'd ever received. Christopher, I think you should wait until you're done with elementary school before worrying about being a failed writer." I just thought that was so cute, and just such a good homage to his grandmother's, you know, words of wisdom. So truly, if you're maybe a younger viewer and you're looking for a good book to read, check out this series. It's called The Land of Stories. It's awesome. The final book on this list is actually a book that I have yet to read, and that is the book White Coats by Jacquline Marino, who just so happens to be my mom. So this book is actually dedicated to me and my sister. It's a nonfiction book. It's about 3 med students going through medical school, and my mom, who's a journalist, followed them. And she dedicated her book to my sister and I. So it's always going to be a book that's really near and dear to my heart. And especially if you're someone who's looking into going into a medical field. I don't know if you're a high school student like me, or you're just someone who's really interested in sort of medical, you know, stories and things like that. This is basically her journey following 3 students through med school and learning about their lives and how they got through med school. And yeah, so definitely check out White Coats if you're interested, and if you're interested in learning a little bit more about me and my mom. So at the time when she wrote this, I was really young, so I probably am not mentioned very often in this, but it's mainly about, you know, medical school. So check it out if you're interested in that kind of stuff. And that wraps up my favorite book dedications. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to give all of these books some love. I keep forgetting to mention, I also actually have an Etsy shop that is called Stella Stationery, and I sell stationery items like stickers, cards, resin art, things like that. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check it out. Links in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.